Live for the Pines, episode 70. Today we have Carlisle High School athletic director, head football coach, Coach Clay Baker. How are you doing tonight, Coach?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you having me on. Excited to be here.
It's a pleasure to get you on. I heard a lot of great stories about you, and you've definitely made a journey in East Texas in the football world. So, we were ready to get you on the show and get to talk to you. But how are you doing? How's everything going in Carlisle right now?
It's going good. It's been a smooth transition. I was there originally before I left and went to Henderson, so it's a little different than when most people take a new job. You kind of gotta take a while to get to know things. But I was there for 15 years before I left and went to Henderson, so it's been smooth. We had to round a staff out, which we've got that complete now. We got summer workouts rolling. We've started installs, so everything's good. It's going good for us right now.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Let's talk a little bit about when you got to Carlisle. When did you make that move?
Yeah, right after Christmas break is when I officially started. So I was there pretty much the whole second semester. So I've been there plenty of time to get to know the kids, which I knew most of them anyway. Most of them were junior high, the ones that are our high school guys right now. So I knew them anyway. But I've been there the whole second semester. And now I've had a chance since we've started summer workouts to bring in the new staff that we're going to have, which a bunch of those guys are ones that were with me previously as well. So some of them have a good idea of the kids as well.
How does it feel to know that you've made it, to a point in the coaching world that, whenever you make a move that you have guys that are willing to follow you and they believe in your product and want to be there with you?
It means a lot. I've got a core group of coaches and that I consider friends, that anywhere I go, I would take them guys with me if they wanted to follow me there. And the fact that most of them have, when I went to Henderson, I had quite a few that followed me. And then when I come back to Carlisle, quite a few that followed me there that went back and forth with me. So that means a lot. Those are guys that I trust, and you've always got to have people around you that you trust, that you believe in, that believes in your system and what you're trying to do as well. It's an honor to be able to work with those guys, and I'm excited that they trusted me enough to come back with me.
That's great. So what were some of the things that we did different when we got to Carlisle? Getting ready, getting the off-season program going. We're fresh back from Christmas. We get to see the kids. We know what we got now. Pretty much knew what we had before we got there. We know these kids, Carlisle and Henderson are basically in the same neighborhood. But,
yeah.
What are some of the things that, we did different when we got back to Carlisle?
Yeah. First we just wanted to, most of those kids, like I said, I knew, especially the high school kids, I knew them, but we just wanted to make sure we established a relationship first when we got there. Cause they were in junior high the last time I was there, so the interactions might not have been quite as much as with the varsity guys and the high school guys. So just developing a relationship with them, just developing that trust with them, making sure that they understand that I'm all in, that I've been at Carlisle for 15 years, guys. It's not like I'm coming in and not understanding what I've gotten into. I'm fully aware of the community expectations, the parent expectations, the administration expectations, and all that. So just establishing relationships, obviously getting to know the staff that was there in place, and kind of filling that out and seeing what guys wanted an opportunity to stay, and then seeing what guys were going to want to come with me out of the guys that I wanted to bring. And then with the kids, just going to work, just making sure they saw the way that we wanted to work daily, the expectations we had, the things we were going to do in the weight room, the speed development we were going to do. So we really hit hard on our speed work we do. We hit hard on our weight room stuff we did. And then we saved the football stuff. The last couple of weeks of school, we started doing some football install. I wasn't necessarily too concerned with getting that stuff installed. I was more concerned with just making sure we were at a point we were comfortable with strength-wise, speed-wise, and things of that nature.
Those are great things. I know we kind of skipped ahead of this, but, talk a little bit about your career, where it started at, back in high school all the way up to where you are now.
Yeah. So I'm a product of coaching from my dad. So I grew up in the sports world. That's all I knew growing up. I was riding buses when I was 8, 10 years old. I was riding buses to from games, baseball games, football games. I was in locker rooms, so I grew up in a locker room, and I loved every bit of it, getting to see my dad, the energy, the passion he had, the relationships he developed with kids, and the way that just to get to see the respect that the kids had for him, outside of just his coaching abilities, to get to see all of that was something that just amazed me, that I've always had an interest in. I didn't know anything but sports. Played it all my life growing up, played in high school, had no idea what I wanted to do after that. Was fortunate enough to go play some baseball at the next level in college. Still didn't really have any idea what I wanted to do when that was over. Just assumed I was going to get to play my whole life and didn't really put any plans forward on what I was going to do when that was done. And then when that did come to a close, I was pretty fortunate that as soon as my baseball career ended, I got a call from my dad. Still didn't think, I didn't know if I wanted to go into coaching. I know I loved sports and I wanted to do something with it. Didn't know if it was going to be coaching or what nature it would be. But my dad ended up having a job opening. There was a secondary job opening at Carlisle, where I'm at right now. At the time my career was ending, called me and said, "Hey, do you just want to test this out for 1 or 2 years? Come help us out until I can find a replacement." And the rest is kind of history. I got there in 15 years and was there for 15 years before I left. And then once I left there, went to Henderson, back to my hometown where I graduated from, and was there for 2 seasons. And now coming back to Carlisle in the AD role for this season.
That's great. So, Carlisle really didn't have the season they wanted to have last year. And, it's, going back to a program that, left a sour taste in those kids' mouths. They want to win. Every kid wants to win. What are some of the things that you're going to do different to approach that? You got to build positivity back in these kids' minds and make them know that, we can win these ball games, which is a tough district. You got Frankston, St. Augustine, Shelbyville, Brook Hills, Overton, all these teams in that Mount Enterprise. Mount Enterprise might have, one of the best players in the state right now.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you're going to, what are we going to do different to get Carlisle, back motivated to what Carlisle football used to be?
Yeah. I think number one, it was just about getting the kids to understand the history, that there is some good history there. We had a run of 15 years where we were in the postseason. I mean, it was just the expectation. You play Carlisle football, you're going to be in the playoffs, and typically you're not going to have a first round exit. You're going to get in the tournament, you're going to compete. So just getting the kids to understand that history, that last year's not the norm. That's not the expectation. That's not what the community expects. That's not what we expect coming in, and then that's not what our kids should expect either. So getting them to buy into that, getting them to have some confidence. Obviously, winning creates confidence, so we're going to have to find a way to do some of that, but just getting the kids to understand that, getting the kids to buy into what we're trying to sell to them, getting them competing. We've done a lot of competing in off season to where there's a desire to win. I'm a firm believer in competition. I mean, we're going to compete in everything we do every day. There's winners and there's losers in everything we do. So we need our kids to understand that. We need them to want to win in every single thing they do. Now, are they always going to win? No, but at that point, now we have to find a way to overcome that. That way we can win the next time that we go out there. So just getting the kids competing, getting them to understand the history of things. And then again, I'm a firm believer in what we do in the weight room and what we do speed development wise. So getting the kids on board with that, we've seen some tremendous jumps in our strength and in our speed since I've been there as well.
And you talk about all those things, competition's everything. I remember when I was in high school, Coach John Cobb, head baseball coach at Lufkin, he bought this new mindset into our all-season program, and it was like competition Thursday or competition Friday.
Yes.
And it was like tug of war. We had a towel pool. We had all kinds of crazy things. We laughed about it when he bought the idea up to us, but when we got started, it meant he meant business. We meant business. We wanted to win. He put us in teams, and he posted the winning teams and the losers out and everything. He kept stats of all that, and it changed the mindset of a lot of kids in the program.
Yep, absolutely. I think it's using the kids enjoy it, like you said. I mean, they enjoy doing those as well, and they don't even realize how much better they're getting doing things like that because they're having fun while they do it. That's a big thing for us too. When our kids come to athletics, we want that to be the funnest period of the day. We don't want the kids to dread athletics when they get there. And if it is, we have a competition day. When it is competition day, those kids are excited about it. As soon as they're coming in, they're asking what competitions do we have today. They love our harness pull competition. They're always asking, do we got harness pull today? So we want the kids to enjoy when they come to athletics. We want them to enjoy number one, the work that we do during competition day, during the weight room, during the speed. I'm a believer in being disciplined, but I'm also a believer in excitement and kids having fun. Because when the kids are excited about it and the kids having fun, that's when they're going to work their hardest, and that's when they're going to get the biggest benefits. So I want them to enjoy being around me. I want them to enjoy being around the rest of the coaches and the staff, and I want them excited about coming to athletics every day.
That's great, because most kids dread going to, first through fourth period. They get the fifth period, a whole switch just turns, And a lot of kids, we know, like we say this a lot, Lufkin, football is everything to these kids. Without football, college is out of the option for a lot of these kids because it's all they know is, football. And, at the end of the day, you're a student athlete, but you can also go to college for free with the game of football, the game of basketball, the game of baseball. So, athletics is a key part to, most of these kids, lives.
That's the reason that a lot of them are showing up for school every day. That keeps their attendance good. It keeps them motivated to try to stay out of trouble and to pass their classes. And if athletics is something that helps the kids do better in all those areas, then ultimately it's going to help them later on in life when athletics is over for them. It's going to help them become a better person, a better father, a better husband, a productive citizen in their communities and everything else.
Football teaches more than just being a good athlete. It teaches life lessons. It gets you prepared for society. It gets you prepared for the real world because, you learn to compete. You learn to be a teammate. You know how to be a team player at a job.
Absolutely.
It teaches discipline. You can go to, you know how to get tasks done. Coaches put a task, to you. When you go to college, a lot of these kids don't realize if you get a chance to play Division I football, nobody's going to sit there and monitor if you're cheating these reps or not.
Yeah, no.
All that's going to happen when they put that 54-man roster out, your name probably not going to be on there because you didn't bust your ass to get on there.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, and we try to sell that to our kids too. That you can sit here and you can try to skip a rep. You can try to get off every time and look around and see if a coach is looking at you. But ultimately, that's going to show up when the test comes. And there's a test for you every Friday in football season. And the difference between our test and a math test or an English test is when you take your football test, we're going to also invite everybody in the community and the surrounding areas to come watch you take your test and see how well you've been studying during the week for that test. So it's going to show. So, you whatever you put into it, it's going to show on Friday nights.
And it goes back to coaching also. You guys are, the kids, you owe the kids, the benefit of I'm going to prepare y'all. I'm going to prepare my staff. I'm going to have us prepared to go coach against this opposing team because, at the end of the day, they're 16, 15, 17 years old, 18 years old. So nobody's going to blame Lil Terry.
No.
They're going to blame Clay Baker.
100%. And they should. I will take all blame anytime things don't go good on Friday nights. That's something that we pride ourselves on with the staff that I've been fortunate enough to been around. We pride ourselves on it is our job to have a plan and to be prepared every Friday night. And it is our job to put our kids in a position to be successful. We can't control if the guy across from them is a better athlete necessarily. He just might have better genetics. He might have had a little bit more talented mama and daddy or uncle or something of that nature. But we can control if our kid is prepared for what that guy is going to do, or we can control with putting our guy in a little bit better position that might help him overcome the fact that the guy across from him is a better athlete, or maybe he is a little bit bigger, and that's something that we've always prided ourselves on, is we're not going to get out planned. We're not going to get out prepared. We're not going to get out worked. We might not necessarily win every Friday, but we're going to have a plan. We're going to be prepared, and our kids are going to go to work.
So 2 or 3 years ago, I went to my first ever 2A high school football game. It was Tennahaw, and I want to say Carlisle or Tennahaw and Joaquin. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah.
But Tennahaw got absolutely murdered. It was bad. But it was so cool to watch, this kid play receiver, running back, quarterback, safety, cornerback, linebacker. And, everybody's there. The whole little town's there.
Yeah.
You have the ranchers sitting right here. You have the bankers. You have the normal 9-to-5 guys. You have grandpa. You have the alumni. Everybody's at this. There's no stream on. Either you're there or you're going to read it in the paper or you're going to hear about it.
Yep.
And it blew my mind because, I remember we sat on the 10 hall side, the band was just rocking and rolling. And halftime comes. And like a couple of the kids playing football.
They're turning around and performing in
horn.
Yeah.
And I was like you think about where Friday nights and Texas high school football's got. You have the Allens, you have the DFW schools, you have the Dallas, the Houston schools, you have the schools in San Antonio now. Those are college football games.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You come back to East Texas and you catch Carlisle and Shelbyville or Carlisle and St. Augustine playing. That's big time football.
Yeah.
The whole town's there.
Yeah. I love it. I love small school football. Obviously, as you can tell, I left not necessarily the 6A level, but from 4A Division 1 level in Henderson, left there to come back to the 2A level. There's not much like small school Texas football, and I absolutely love it. I love, like you said, your best 11 are probably going to be on the field about 38 to 40 of those 48 minutes.
Your best 11 are Travis Hunter.
Yes. I mean, they're going to play offense, defense. They're going to be on the kickoff team, kick return, punt
return for you.
Yeah, they're going to do everything they can. So I mean, I like that. I love kids that want to be on the field that don't know anything about tapping their helmet to ask if they can come out and play. That's unheard of for our guys. Like it's just the expectation that if you are one of our better players, you need to go ahead and expect to be out there playing the majority of the game. And I love that. I love the fact that right now, which it might not be ideal, but I mean, our starting quarterback right now is arguably one of our best linebackers who's probably going to play some inside linebacker and a lot of it, And so, I mean, is that ideal? No, but I love the fact that he's a competitor. He wants to get out there and compete. He don't want to come off to the sidelines. He wants to be out there just like the majority of our other kids. I mean, they want to be out there every snap. They don't want to miss any snaps. So, I love that. I love seeing the kids out competing.
How important is conditioning at the 2A level?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's very important. But to me, I mean, you don't have to do it as much, honestly. I mean, your kids are going to get conditioned because the same things that we're talking about they're going to do on a Friday night, they're going to do Monday through Thursday in practice. They're going to sit there and they're going to get every single offensive rep. They're going to get every defensive rep. They're going to have their Indy offense, their Indy defense, and every other offense and defensive period. So there's no downtime. Whereas at the bigger levels, when maybe you're working one side of the ball, well, they're not doing a whole lot on that other side of the ball. Or maybe you got where you're 6 deep in a position and they're getting a rep every 5 minutes. Our guys are getting a rep every minute, every other rep, so they're getting plenty of conditioning Monday through Thursday. I mean, obviously it comes into play big time early in the season. I mean, you can condition all day long, but there's not much like true in-game condition playing both sides of the ball 48 minutes in this Texas weather. So you're going to see some cramps regardless of how much you condition early in the year. But then after that, I mean, I feel like it kind of takes care of itself with our kids here at 2A.
And that's another thing. Like you look at a lot of these bigger schools and stuff, like these kids don't really know much about the school they're going to.
Oh, yeah.
And then you go to we'll talk about East Texas as a whole. Like, kids grow up wanting to be, Lufkin Panthers. They grow up wanting to play for Carlisle. They grow up wanting to play for Carthage. It's something you want to do. And then you get to the bigger cities, and it's like, man, this kid moved 45 miles just to go to high school here.
Yeah.
He doesn't know anything about the history. He doesn't know anything about the coaching staff or about the alums or anything like that. And it's just a different pride and a different, buy in, because like most of these people in the community have been watching you play football since you were 6, 7 years old.
Yeah. And I love the fact that we can relate with just about every kid in our locker room. We can sit here and we can look at him and we can relate it somehow to where maybe we coached that kid's dad or that kid's uncle or that kid's brother or that kid's cousin. We've coached somebody related to him.
Somebody that touches him.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we can tie that in at times too. We can touch back into his family, and then we can touch back into his relatives and what they went through, and they helped get us to where we're at this point right now, and how you're helping continue to put us on that trajectory here. So I love the fact that we have some kind of relationship. When our kids step into our program, we've already got some kind of relationship where we've coached somebody in their family at one point or another.
So how big is it for you to get to your middle schools, get to the youth football league, and be around those kids and let them know that this is the you're not running the same stunts or yada, yada, yada. You're going to be running on Friday night, but you're going to line up in this base defense. You're going to line up in this offense. Most of the times when a kid plays quarterback at 12, 13 years old, 11, 10, he's going to be your quarterback on Friday night when he's 16, 17. How important is it for you to instill that in those kids at a young age?
I love it. I love being around our middle school. I'll be there during their athletic period. I won't miss a day unless for some reason I have a meeting or something urgent that has came up. I'll be at every single practice with our junior high that's during the athletic period. I'll be on the sidelines for every single one of our junior high games as well. I mean, that is your program, and that is the future of your program. So what you put into them now is what you're going to get here in a few years when your program comes through. Number one, installing your system into them and getting them to where they know that, to where things go a lot quicker once they get to you, but also just developing those relationships with those kids. I want those kids to want to play for me when they get into high school. So they need to see me. They need to see how I'm going to be, to see my energy, to see my passion, to hopefully enjoy being around me and to want to play for me. I want those kids to want to play for our coaches when they get into high school. So they're not going to want to play for us if the first time they see us is when they get into high school, which at the small school, it's pretty easy to do at Carlisle because we're one campus. But at Henderson, I mean, that was something that was huge for us as well. I made it a point to kind of flip our junior high and high school athletic periods. That way me and the two coordinators could go over to the junior high during their athletic periods and be around those kids, because like I said, I want those kids to see me, to get to know me, and to want to play for me eventually when they get into high school.
How important is it for young coaches to realize that, just because you coach the receivers or the running backs on the varsity level, that, your job's not over. We have to go back to the middle school on Thursdays or, Tuesdays, whenever they play, and we need to be there helping these kids get better.
Yeah, no, it's extremely important. I've been fortunate, like I said, to have some really, really good staffs. And I'm extremely excited about the staff we got right now that we've built here at Carlisle. So that won't be a problem with any of those guys, but it is extremely important. But those guys know, they understand the buy-in. They want to be around our junior high. I mean, right now, summer workouts, they're with our junior high as well. They're making sure that our junior high, during our indie periods, they're with our junior high. During the weight room, they're with our junior high. During speed drills, they're with our junior high. Because that way, like I said, those kids are getting to see how they coach, get to see what the expectations from those coaches are, those position coaches when they get to them. And it gives our high school coaches an opportunity to evaluate some of those kids and what they got coming forward. So, I mean, I think it's huge. I think any program you look at that is successful is doing that. They're investing in their junior high, and they're putting time into those guys, and they're not just relying on hoping they get some good athletes that show up every few years that just kind of get them through. I think the programs that are traditionally good are starting from the junior high up.
What separates these schools that we see consistently winning, their third, fourth round state champion, playing for a state championship teams compared to the teams that are, always just behind, no matter, the talent or, the issues that, keep them in this position? What separates these schools? Is it the buy-in during the season? Is it the buy-in during the summer, the season, and the off season? What is separating these schools from all these other schools that are not competing at that high of a level?
Yeah, it's a lot of things. I think consistency is huge. Having a staff that gets an opportunity from administration and the board to be there for a few years to develop that consistency. I think there's so much turnaround right now in the profession and the schools that you're seeing with constant turnaround. It's hard to develop something. I mean, you don't just go in and develop something in a couple years. It takes some time and it takes some buy-in, and it takes starting with the junior high. So I think consistency is huge. I think the teams, the majority of them, now some of them, there's communities that are just blessed with really good athletes, and they're going to be good every year. But I think those other ones that aren't necessarily just out-athleting people, I think if you'll look back, there's probably a lot of consistency within not just their head coach, but within their staff as well. I think you've got to have a great staff that buys in also. I mean, you can be the greatest coach in the world, but if you don't have good guys around you, it's not going to matter. You got to trust in your staff. You've got to have a really, really good staff around you that's not scared to go to work, that has the same beliefs as you, that's going to preach those as well. So I think that's also important. I think the community, if you'll look at a lot of those schools, I think there's a lot of support from the community as well. A lot of backing from the community, the administration, and things of that nature. I think there's got to be buy-in all around from the community, the entire school. Everybody's got to be on one page, and there's got to be a lot of buy-in there. So I think there's a lot of things that come into play there, but I think those are some of the things that stand out to me when you look at some of those programs that are traditionally always going 3, 4, or even competing for a state championship.
That's great. And that's true, though. We look at a lot of these programs like the South Lakes, the Carthages, the Salinas, the Gunners, all these big schools that you always will see in Arlington or on the road to Arlington.
Yeah.
It's consistent. They always have a quarterback. They always have, athletes out wide. They always have, I don't know. It's just like a different vibe. It's like kids want to be out there. They want to play. They want to go hit you in the mouth.
They want to put that jersey on. They want to represent that school. It means something to them. So I think that's huge. I think those schools also. I mean, they're clearly doing a good job of developing their players, which is not just starting when they walk on the high school campus as a freshman. That's starting in junior high, and it's probably starting before 7th grade as well. I would say at the latest in 6th grade, but they're probably involved with some stuff below that as well. So I think, obviously, does it help when you get some good athletes? Absolutely. But I think you can develop your kids as well if you can get your hands on them at a young age. I would say at least by the 6th grade, being able to get with them in some of their pre-athletic periods and getting to not necessarily even a whole lot of X's and O. Now, obviously, that helps once you start installing and getting your kids knowing that, but just developing their movements, helping them with their speed drills, helping them with their strength and things of that nature is going to help them overall in any sport they get to. And I think that's something that all those schools are doing a really, really good job of developing their young athletes.
All right. Well, the people that don't know, you have a son that plays receiver.
Yeah.
What are you doing to get him so ahead of the game? Like his routes are crisp. Everything is crisp.
He's in I'll give a shout out real quick. He's in a really, really good program too, though. He's on a 7-on-7 team out of the DFW area, Texas Epic with Don Smith. And he's done a really good job of helping develop his routes with some things that I haven't necessarily been able to do. But he's a decent little athlete. I'll give him that. But the thing that I love even more is his work ethic. That sucker, man, I do not have to ask him to do anything. I can tell you that he has not missed one of our summer workouts yet. He is right there, and he is mixing it in, not just with my junior high kids. He's doing one-on-ones with my varsity guys and competing, and he's lining up in speed drills right beside my high school varsity guys and competing with them. So he's got a great work ethic. That's something that makes me more proud as a dad than any highlight video or any catch he might make. The thing that makes me more proud is the fact that every day during this school year, and he'll be going into the 5th grade, but as a 4th grader, every single day during this school year, he woke up before I did. We have some weights at the house and lifted weights here at our house before he went to school. I didn't make him do that. I didn't stand beside him when he did that. He asked me if I would ride him a workout. So I wrote him enough workouts to get through, and that sucker did not miss a day. He woke up every day, got up, did his weights, and then showered, ate some breakfast, and got ready to go to school. So I'll give him credit. He's got a really, really good work ethic. That hopefully
going to the 5th grade?
He'll be going in the 5th grade. Yep. And he does. He loves football. He plays multi-sports. I mean, obviously, we'll play every sport we can play to help with development. But I'll give him credit. Not only did he wake up and lift weights, we do a little catching circuit that involves 85 catches with the football that he does every night. And it don't matter what time I get home. If I'm coming in home late from a track meet or something during the school year, that sucker's waiting for me right outside his room. Hey, can we get our catches real quick before you eat or before you shower? So he does not want to miss. He don't want to miss a day of work. So that's a credit to him and his work ethic.
That's, you can't teach those things.
No, you can't. And that, like I said, that makes me more proud being his father than any athletic ability or any of that he might have is the work ethic, because that's going to take him a whole lot farther than any of his abilities that he's got.
So from your experience and, watching kids grow up and become athletes, successful athletes, will he stay at the receiver position?
I don't know. I've tried. He don't have a whole lot of height. That's going to be at a disadvantage for him. Me and his mom aren't the tallest people, so he wasn't blessed with a lot of height. So he won't. If you ask him, hey, if we lined up and played, he'd say he wants to play running back. So that's what he wants to play. I've told him that he might want to get ready to be back there taking a few snaps because he can throw the football a little bit too, and he's fairly shifty. You know how it is. Typically, if you can sling it a little bit and you're a pretty good athlete, a lot of times at the high school level, they like to let you go ahead and take some snaps and make some plays back there. So I don't know. He wants to play running back. We'll see. I told him he might want to keep lifting them weights and drinking him some protein drinks and put some weight on him if he's going to be back there toting that rock. So
is he playing tackle football yet?
He's not. He wants to. I've been hesitant on it. Right now he's just doing the 7-on-7, which is that's about every weekend for him. He's got one more tournament coming up this weekend, but no, he's not. I'll let him start in the 6th grade on that. Now, I mean, he's doing. Like I said, he's at our summer workouts, so I mean, and I'm teaching him on tackle wheels and pads and things of that nature. But I'm not in a whole big of a hurry to suit.
No, don't rush it.
Yeah. I want to let him.
Jaworski Lane, he came on here. His son played. I think his son played his first year of football in like the 9th grade.
Yeah.
And he was like the offensive MVP of their district last year, and that's 6A football.
Yep.
And it just, it shows you that, fundamentals and development. And that's like one thing we talk about baseball a lot. You played baseball.
Yeah.
What irks me the most is every kid is playing select baseball.
Yeah.
And it just irks me because when you were growing, back in the day, every kid didn't get that opportunity.
Yeah. Well, that's all it is now pretty much is select baseball. There's not a whole lot of league ball left.
You had your league ballers. You had a few fall ballers that played league ball. And then you had your guys who just played everything.
Yeah. We loved the All-Star time, which is right now. I mean, where I grew up in Henderson, I mean, we couldn't wait for that time. Once the All-Stars hit to go compete against the other communities. I mean, we loved it as a group. Which you just don't see that a whole lot anymore. You don't see where you get your best kids playing in league and getting to develop up, and they're all in a hurry now to go play in the tournaments, and they feel like if they say they're in a select tournament, that means they're actually a select player, which is not necessarily the case.
I saw a video this past weekend. It was a group of kids. They went and played in, I want to say Dallas or somewhere. And, these kids are freshmen, sophomores, and the competition they were playing against, like the ball was like 75, 78 across the plate. And I'm like,
yeah. What
are you getting better for? You're getting ready to go back to high school ball, and you're going to see 85 up.
Yeah, you're about to see constant mid-80s probably.
Yeah, it's like it just amazes me. But you told me something before the show. So your DC coming on is your dad.
Yep.
How's this going to work?
I couldn't be more excited about it. We work great together. I mean, it's a
you fired up.
He's. I feel like he's gotten about 10 years younger since he's taken the role as DC. I mean, that sucker's he's all in. And I mean, his energy level is through the roof. I mean, it doesn't matter how many years he's been doing it, retired, coming out of retirement. It's hard to match his energy level, especially on a Friday night. It's hard to match his ability to relate and to motivate to kids as well. I mean, that sucker, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody that could get a kid the most out of a kid as good as he does. But no, I couldn't be more excited about being able to get him back out of retirement to come work alongside me. I mean, he's obviously someone that has been not just a father, but a mentor to me. That a lot of the things I'm doing right now is because of him and what I've seen him do. And it also makes it to where, I mean, I know I'm 100% hands off when it comes to defense, and it's his show, full trust. I know what he does is going to be what I agree with and what I would want to do myself, so I couldn't be more excited.
How hard was it to talk him into coming out of retirement?
Not very hard at all. So when I left and went to Henderson, I tried to talk him out of retirement at that point, and to get him to come to Henderson with me. And he didn't really want to. He and my mom's retired too. She's an ex principal, and so she's she's retired. So they were both enjoying the retired life. They've got them a nice little beach house down at Crystal Beach in Galveston. So they were spending a lot of their time there. If it wasn't for the fact of coming in to watch one of my kids play a sport, they were down there. So I couldn't get him necessarily come out of retirement there. And then he was part of kind of I'm not going to say getting me to come back to Carlisle, but he was a little bit a part of in the discussion of kind of talking to me about their job being open, not necessarily asking me if I wanted it, because I don't think he had a clue that I would be willing to come back. I think he just assumed I would stay right there where I'm at, that we were doing pretty good things there, and it's a good level. But then after talking to him about it, I kind of expressed to him that I might have a little interest in coming back. And that was one of the first things I told him. I said, but I don't know if I'm going to come back unless you'll agree to be my DC if I come back. And I mean, that sucker, no hesitation. He said, without a doubt, he said, if you'll go back and take the job, he said, I'm right. The day one, when you get there, I'm there day two, and I'm your defensive coordinator. So that helped me make the decision too. I mean, that was some of the greatest times in my coaching career, is getting to coach alongside of him. Because like I said, just getting to see his passion and the times that we had together, to where it kind of created more of that father-son, to where it was like best friends. I mean, we're out there working alongside each other, and how it is. You're in the field house with each other probably more than you are your own family during football season. So I mean, me and him spent a lot more time together, to where we were talking like best friends, sitting in the field house and coming up with game plans together and all that thing. So I couldn't be more excited about getting him back. He's anytime I go anywhere, he's the first guy I'm calling, whether he's retired for 2 years, 10 years, he's the first guy I'm calling to see if he'll join me or help in some kind of way.
How big is that for you though? You're a seasoned vet head coach and everything, but having somebody on the sidelines that you can go to at any moment and be like, what would you do?
Yeah. Well, I think it's huge. Having guys on the sidelines with good X and O knowledge always helps, but not necessarily that, but someone who's been there a lot of years and been in a lot of games, big games, as far as game management, the other things you think of, where maybe sometimes you might just second guess yourself when it comes to, do we want to go for it here on fourth down, or do we want to go for two or kick, or, hey, maybe this is the time to go for it on the onside kick or something of that nature. Just having him there to be able to shoot those ideas off of him, because the majority of the time what he says I was kind of already thinking, but it also just confirms it. And I'm going to trust what he says, because he's been there in a lot more games than I have, and won more games than I'll probably ever win, and been in a lot bigger games, So being able to talk to someone there, and then also just having another guy that, where when things aren't necessarily going our way, where I don't always have to be that one that, hey, we need everybody up on the sidelines, pulling everybody up, trying to find a way to right the ship there. I don't necessarily have to be the only guy to do that now. He can 100% take the reins at any time he wants to bring in the team and help right the ship, and will probably do it better than I could do it. So having another guy on the sidelines that can do that as well it's just huge, having someone with his experience on the sidelines.
How different is small town East Texas football that you're experiencing compared to the bigger East Texas schools all the way up to the bigger Dallas, Houston schools? Like what are the differences as far as, inside the field house, Friday nights, inside the game, and like the speed of the game and everything, and, knowing that I'll have these guys here for sure.
Yeah. There's a lot of things different. A Friday night though, because I made the jump from 2A to 4A, and it had never done it before, so I was even a little bit skeptical myself there. But coaching kids are kids at any level. The big difference was just the number of kids you had. And are you okay? I lost my picture. Yeah, the number of kids you have, the number of coaches you have. So just managing more bodies, managing more kids. The more kids you got, the more personalities you got. And as you mentioned earlier, they are 16, 17, 18 years old. So that's a lot of different personalities, and you do not know what happened to them the night before or 1 hour before, or what kind of mood they're going to be in. So managing all those different personalities, and then managing a bigger staff as well, and making sure that you find the right group of guys that mesh together, where the staff's not quite as big at this level. So it's a little easier to do. Also at the smaller level, I love the fact that, like we were talking about the junior highs, I love the fact that it's just so much easier. We're right here in one campus, so I can walk up there to the junior high hallway if I want to, or I'm right over there. I walk right out of the field house and I can walk out where the junior high is practicing. I don't have to get in my car and drive across town. And now not only can I do it, my entire varsity staff can walk over there to the junior high practice as well. So I love that. That's something that I like a lot better personally. For me, is just the relationships are a little bit tighter, in my opinion, just because everybody knows everybody at the small scale, at the small school level. And that's something that's just, relationships are big to me. I feel like that's your relationships with your kids, your relationships with your staff. That's something that's huge in helping you be successful.
So, on the 2A level, how many coaches are you allotted?
Yeah, we're pretty blessed at Carlisle. Our administration and our school board takes care of us. So right now, counting myself, we'll have 12 on the football side. Now that's counting junior high as well. I'll have 4 guys that are basically junior high. But then as soon as junior high practice is over, their practice field's right beside ours. They're going to walk over and they're going to come right there at high school. And then they're going to have assignments on Friday night, which that's something that's a little different too, where, at the other level that's a little bit bigger, you might assign those junior high guys something to do on Friday night, but it can't be a whole lot necessarily because they're not even there with the high school kids at practice. Whereas, I can give these guys a little more responsibility on a Friday night or on a weekend when we're coming into work, because they're able to walk over and see some of our varsity practice as well. But Carlisle takes care of me. They bless us in that area where we'll have 12 guys that are doing football alone. And it's, like I said, I feel like it's going to be, I feel like I've been blessed to work for and to have some really, really good coaching staffs that are, a real group of tight-knit guys. And I think this one here could end up being one of the best ones that we've had.
Well, that's great. So before we go, talk a little about the kids we have this year on the varsity level in the football field.
Yeah, we got a good group of guys returning with a lot of experience. Carlisle was really, really young this past season. Sophomore heavy, big time sophomore heavy. Our sophomore incoming junior group is a really, really good group that we're going to rely a lot on. The quarterback, Tony Ibarra, he'll be a junior. He was there last year. He got injured, but he started the year at quarterback. And then the running back, Elvis Hernandez, he's a returner. He'll be a junior. We've got numerous receivers that are returning that'll be juniors, with Ivan Garza and Dakota Grigsby. Both of those were big playmakers for them. On the defensive side, Chase Rowland's returning. He was our leading tackler. So, Joseph Mayhigh, there's a lot of Juan Diaz up front. We got 4 of the 5 guys returning up front as well. So, I'm excited about. We got a lot of guys with varsity experience. Did they take some lumps last year? Absolutely, but they were sophomores. That's expected, and our expectations are going to be a lot higher than that coming into this year. So I'm excited about the fact that we got a lot of guys with Friday night experience. The miles won't be quite as wide come that first Friday, because you know how it is. The game is very fast on a Friday night. The band's playing, the crowd is loud, coaches are getting emotional and yelling. So if you've never been in a Friday night, it can kind of get to you as a young player. So I'm excited about the fact that our guys have been in that fight on Friday nights, and they understand what it's like. So I look forward to it. They've had a great summer for us so far these first 2 weeks. They had a great off season. We've been in the 7-on-7, so the kids have been working. They bought in quick. There was no hesitation to where, man, I got to sell the kids, or I got to get these guys to buy in. It might take a little bit to get them to start showing up to summer workouts, or to get wanting to stay after school and do some stuff. They embraced me as soon as I walked in day one, and the other coaches along with me that came, they embraced us as soon as we walked in. The kids have fully bought in. They're showing up every day in the summer. They're standing and doing extra on their own, whether it's weights or football, things like that. So we're excited about it. It's a good group of kids that are going to give us maximum effort and have positive attitudes, and that's 2 things that if you give us that, it's our job to find a way for you to be successful. If you'll have a good attitude and you give us great effort, then as coaches, it's our job to try to find a way to put you in a position to be successful.
That's great, Coach Baker. Well, I thank you for coming on Live from the Pine tonight. We really appreciate having you on. We wish nothing but the best for Carlisle this season. Maybe we get a chance, you might stop by and catch a Carlisle game.
Absolutely. Yeah, we would love to have you.
Yeah, I'd love to get down there. It was enjoyed talking to you. got to do this again before the season. And when the season gets kicked off and, hear more about y'all's season, I'm fired up for you guys and ready to hear about it. Do y'all play Mount Enterprise first game this year?
Yep, that's game one for us. So we get to, as you mentioned earlier, one of the best athletes arguably in the state. We get to try to tackle him first game of the year. So it'll be a tough task for us, but it'll be an exciting one.
Well, I think y'all guys can handle it. Before we go, I want to give a shout out to our guys at Zilker Belts. Use discount code PINES936 for all online orders. Also, give a shout out to our guys at Really Havin'. Lil Malcolm Deason, he's got it going with the new apparel out. Shop Really Havin'. Use discount code HAVINFAM for 50% off your purchase. Shop Really Havin' on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. New limited edition hoodies out. Coach Baker, we thank you again for coming on Live for the Pines. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, and follow us on all socials. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.